And we are back. Our final race of the night here on Home Track Heroes here on this damp, wet, soggy night in Monroe, Washington. Our NASCAR street stocks are coming up in a great field, I thought. And this is at the point where the track is, I think the raining kind of stopped at this point. So these guys, they didn't have a completely dry track to race on. But it was the best out of the entire night, and that was fun to see.
Probably makes them just a little crazier, too, because they think that's dry enough to race on. When it's raining hard, they know they don't, but we'll see some good action tonight.
Yeah, we will. One of the cars that's on the has been just a stalwart all season long, and if you are a regular viewer of this show, I absolutely gush about the number 28 car of Dave Lund, the hybrid Camaro. And I got this wacky idea of building a model replica of this car, right? And I'm at the point now where I've got the nose of the newer Camaro cut off of the model kit I bought, and I've got the back end of the Camaro, the 68 or 69 Camaro, trying to fit those two together. And they let me take a pour all over that car the other day, and I took pictures of it. And so it's incredibly well built. And major props to Dave and his crew for getting it. All right, let's take you down to the track, and we're going to let you know who's in this one. Want to remind you before we do, Central Welding, their mission of excellent service hasn't changed since 1975. A locally owned family business providing gases, safety, and welding supplies. Central Welding Supplies expert staff makes the difference. Find their 25 locations on their website at centralwelding.com. All right, Tom, let's find out who's in this, because it's going to be fun.
Starting on the pole of this 30-lap race is the defending champion. That's the number 1 car, the Emerald City Harley-Davidson-sponsored car of Ted Lindgren. Outside of Ted, in the Cheyenne Scale Company car, the number 28, Dave Lund. In row 2, it's the number 4 of Jeff Hubbard, sponsored by Rick Chevron. Outside of Mr. Hubbard, in the 43 car, in the MTV Motorsports Special, it's Sheridan Vincent.
In the 14 is Cullen Hubbard behind the Lawn Doctor Chevrolet, and outside of Cullen is the 41 of Mark Hubbard, and he is brought to you by Rick's Chevron. Kenny Erickson, the longtime campaigner, in the number 22, brought to you by Transcends, is in the inside of the 4th row. Then we go outside of Kenny, the 49 Cuz Septic Service of Arlington entry of Calvin Miller.
In the 5th row, it's the 44 car of Mike Marthaler. Outside of him is the Duke's Kid, number 19 of Jake Grant. And in the next row back, it's 45 car Nick Beecher, the Beecher Motorsports Chevrolet. And outside of him, in the All About Transmissions and Automotive, number 16, Scott Perkins.
And then we go back to the number 69 car. Ad Taxi is sponsoring Austin Camp this season. Outside of Austin, in the 24 Clarity Farms entry, driven by Thomas Sherman. And rounding out the field in the number 17 Whiteside Steel car is Madison Vukov. So there's your lineup. A lot of experience in this particular event, a lot of inexperience, and it's all over the place. Mid-experience, if that's a term that can be used. But
and then there's the Hubbards.
And then
two brothers. You've got Jeff Hubbard and Mark Hubbard, and then of course Mark's son is going to be out there also racing. So you're going to, great participation. What a family that has been so involved in our sport for so many years.
Yeah, and all of them competitive. There's just never any question about it. All right, you see the Speedway Chevrolet Camaro pulling off the track down the access road. It is now in the hands of Ted Lindgren and Dave Lund as they come out of turn number 4. The flagman checks the field over, likes what he sees, and off we go down to turn number 1. These guys are on our 2. Of course, we saw the BBC mini stocks on it just a little while ago, and these guys will finish out the night on it. And still, each one of these cars is rear-wheel drive, so they're going to be a total handful on this track.
You can see that 4 car of Jeff Hubbard. Jeff took a 22-year vacation from racing, and for some reason got the bug back in. He won a 3-time street stock champion here at Evergreen Speedway. Went into the late model division. Was a rookie of the year, next year won a championship, and then kind of just walked away. And he's back, and I'm going to guess that there's been a little rust to knock off, but having fun.
All right, we make it through the first lap in great shape. Nice shot of 45. Nick Beecher right there, Mike Marthaler. His familiar number 44 car. see right him in the middle of the screen. Really impressed with the run of the 22 of Kenny Erickson. Don't count that guy out. I think that at some point I would love to see him get a name like that in the 22 because he's a man that's so deserving. He's been out here for a great battle between the 4 and the 45 right there as they go down into turn number 1. These guys, again, having to take real care of that gas pedal because it can take just a little bit of pressure on that pedal and around they go.
See that 19 car that you can see there, right there? That's Jake Grant. That is the 2020, I believe, 2019 championship car that was owned by Dave Lund.
Oh, okay. That's why it looks so good. That makes total sense. It's a neat battle as we see the number 69 car of Austin Camp. Beautiful shot right there. If you want to see how those things look from up above, that's it. And good looking ride.
By the way, a nice place to park if you need some fence work. I saw Berger Fence on there, so he can take his stuff to his sponsors and say, hey, I just pulled over and stopped to let him get a good shot of your logo.
Yeah, not a bad way to go. And they say sponsorships don't work. That will prove that theory to be bunk. All right, you can see the caution lights on all around the speedway, yellow flag out. As they get the field sorted up, they'll climb in back behind our Speedway Chevrolet pace car. And Dave Lund is in the lead. You can see him right there in that beautiful Camaro. And Ted Lindgren and done such a great job in the off-season coming up with a really cool sponsor in Emerald City Harley Davidson. Also Dave Lund in the 28 car brought to you by Foaming Tire up in the road as well. So these guys, they need and so rely on good quality sponsors. And if you are a business owner or you're the one that makes the decisions for those type in your company you work for, don't count these guys out. I mean, they pour everything they have into it, and if you get on a car, Nick Beecher would be an incredible car to get your name on because he just so takes care of everybody that helps him out, and nice kid, and very, very grateful.
Comes from a great family.
Yes.
His dad owns a Pro late model. Done a little bit of everything around here. And you're absolutely right that Nick Beecher, just a nice young man, and I think he needs just a little bit of money to bump up that motor. You can see it here in the rain, what he's capable of doing when horsepower is taken away a little bit. He's doing a great job.
He really is. Okay, we are 4 laps complete, 26 to go as the pace car is going to make the hard right-hand turn onto the access, and it's going to be up to Ted Lindgren and Dave Lund to get them going side by side. Restarts for our NASCAR Street Stocks, and here they come out of turn number 4, and we are back under green.
I don't think there's any question that the two, actually I would say the top 3 favorites to be the championship at the end of the year are now running 1, 2, and 3. Dave Lund, Lindgren, and Hubbard in that 41 car. Those have been the 3 dominant cars so far this year, and it's going to take...
Oh no, look at this. We got the 43 of Sheridan Vincent looping it around. He gently nosing the tires. Around him.
And you didn't even put the jinx on him.
I know, he did that all on his own. I didn't even say his name. Can't pin that one on me, but here we go. This is just kind of one of those accordion effect type of incidents. As you see the 49 and Miller just gently get into the back of the 43. But that's kind of all it takes sometimes. So we're going to get a couple of replays here. This is what Jake Grant saw, barely. Look at that.
Okay, cleared out and go right down through the minute. Great job by Mr. Grant right there as he does. This is the new cam that's mounted on a cone, on a traffic cone.
Hey, there you go.
As they come off the turn there, and you can see coming right at you.
Whoa. Okay, we'll bring it back up top here and kind of get the field reset. I know been kind of talking all show long about some really cool events coming up, and there's a couple that caught Mr. Glithero's eye.
Well, on June 26th, it's the Mark Galloway 150. It's 75 laps for the Pro late model cars on the 5.8s, 75 laps for the Super late models in the 5.8s. So for all of you fans who have been clamoring, when are we going to get to the big track? When are we get to the big track? June 26th, 150 laps, 2 different races. Mark Galloway, one of the finest young men to ever walk through that pit gate, tragically lost in an auto accident. Cool to see that they're keeping his name and memory alive.
And what this also is a prelude to is a good practice session for the Summer Showdown coming up.
A good practice session with a lot of cash on the line.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it's going to be. Okay, we're going to make our way back down to a still very wet racetrack, our 3/8 here at Evergreen Speedway, and get back into our NASCAR Street Stock main event. Dave Lund has got the lead. We're 4 laps into it. 30 laps will make this one up. Ted Lindgren in the number 1 car in second. Sheridan Vincent having the run of his season in 2021 in this particular event in the 3rd spot. There's a couple cars to keep an eye out, one of which is the number 41 of Hubbard, the number 45 of Nick Beecher. Mike Marthaler in the 44. Love to see him get a quality finish out of this. Young man who really caught fire last year in contention for the championship. Didn't quite work out the way he wanted it to. But came back with a good attitude, and we love to see him. All right, we're back green, and it is Dave Lund working the top side. Ted Lindgren down on the bottom.
You know, in that Calvin Miller, the 49 car, just 16 years old, a student up at Arlington High School. You know, it's really cool. I mean, there's a kid who just probably got his driver's license. Can you imagine what he told his driving instructor? Oh yeah, this is nothing. You know how to see what I do on Saturday night. It's cool to see those young kids coming along. Cullen Hubbard, another one of those. Spent a lot of time running enduros and Hornet races and everything else. Comes from good stock, as we talked about. Grandpa started that whole thing off. Dad's been a very successful race car driver, and it's going to be interesting to see just how far Cullen Hubbard goes in this sport.
Boy, a great couple of moves by the 45 of Nick Beecher. Put him up into the 3rd spot if you're scoring at home, which I know anybody with his last name is doing. And this young man has really put on a show. And like Tom mentioned, this track condition really equalizes his field. Sure, Dave Lund is in the lead, Ted Lindgren, and you expect those two to be up top. It is so cool to see Sheridan Vincent in that 3rd spot for about 5 or 6 laps. Now we got Nick Beecher up into it. And they always kind of flirt with that top 3, but then now we're starting to see how good these guys are.
As you mentioned, the rain has subsided a little bit. The rooster tails have stopped coming off the car in most places. Of course, as I say that, they go into turn 1 and you can see it again. But they're starting to run a little bit more all over this racetrack. You know, or before they were predominantly trying to run that top groove. As you see Hubbard in that 4 car running up there. He's another one of those guys who's got some experience in the rain. He knows where to go to get around this racetrack.
And there you see Sheridan Vincent, Calvin Miller, and Kenny Erickson. That group further on back on the track. Also, like Tom mentioned, Jake Grant in that good-looking number 19 car with a great shot of those 3 as they head down the backstretch. Dave Lund now has got the 41 of Mark Hubbard right behind him. Rick Chevron and those 2 are going to have a whale of a
About 20 more laps to go in this one, and I think you're going to probably see those 2 cars all over each other with 20 to go. Maybe a little contact, a push, a little shove. We'll just see how this thing plays out as they go. But there is, you know, Dave Lund's been doing this a long time, and you're not going to rattle him. Even someone as experienced as Mark Hubbard, you're not gonna get Dave Lund to make too many mistakes.
Nope, you don't. And he's got some really quality help in that trailer of his too. Guys that quite a while. They don't put together a car like he has. So there's your lineup as we are almost approaching the halfway point of this main event for NASCAR Street Stocks. Dave Lund in the 28, Ted Lindgren in the 2. Nick Beecher still hanging tough there in that number 45. Newer body style Chevrolet makes it cool. That is a really sharp car. Keep our eye on that 45. Like I mentioned, laps are winding down. There's the 14 of Hubbard in the 6th spot, Jake Grant in the 19th and 7th. Get ready to take a break and do our final segment here on this edition of Home Track Heroes in a few seconds. Like we tell you, every time you see these names on these sponsors, make sure you song at Evergreen Speedway. We'll be back on Home Track Heroes right after